Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, Ramley and other NFL family. Of course, we are welcoming the Cardinals family tonight. I'm Peo Tom. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And in episode 4 of MOOF, we are going to go game by game and predict the Arizona Cardinals schedule in this series called MOOF, which stands for the most overly optimistic fan in the NFL, where we are trying to gauge each NFL team's fandom, where their optimism is towards this season. And because if you can't be optimistic about your team at this time of year, when can you be? We're excited to talk about the Cardinals. The Cardinals have had a really interesting offseason, lots of drama between Kyler Murray and the team. There's some different things happening, within their organization, some criticisms of their leadership. And I'm excited to talk to my guests about all of this right after the intro. And to break down the Cardinals schedule with me today, I welcome none other than the fantastic Cardinal Rule, aka Joseph. Joe, welcome to the show today.
Hey, Pale. Thanks for having me. It's always good hanging out with you. I always say this, but I always mean it. You are one of the good guys, even though you're a Rams fan. So sincerely, though, good dude. This guy's the real deal. So I'm just glad to be hanging out with you again.
Thank you very much. And I shout out everyone in the chat, Bay Area Baller, Grandizer. Thank you for tuning on in here. And yes, you can find the link to the Cardinal Rules YouTube channel in the description below. Yeah, make sure you go subscribe. We're going to break down game by game. And for those of you watching live, thanks so much for tuning in. As we go game by game, type a W in the chat if you think that the Cardinals are going to win. And if you think they're going to lose, put an L in the chat. And I guess if you think they're going to tie, you can put a T in the chat. But before we start breaking down the schedule here, Joseph, Cardinals have had a weird offseason. What are Cardinals fans optimistic about heading into this season?
You know, it depends which Cardinals fan you're talking about, because the way the season ended, thanks to your Rams, partly, but not entirely.
Game?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
that was
a great game.
That was the moment Cliff Kingsbury became my favorite Cardinals coach.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure he did. Cardinals fans weren't terribly optimistic the way it went down. A lot of fans wanted the coach to be fired, but instead he got extended. A lot of fans have been down on the general manager, Steve Keim. He got extended. And some fans, and I don't share this sentiment, but some fans were down on Kyler Murray, felt like question whether he should be the guy that they commit to. So, Cardinals fans aren't as optimistic as for a team that, made the playoffs and has increased their win total for each of the last 3 seasons. The fan base is not terribly optimistic, but I'll try to, I'm much more optimistic than most fans. That's kind of just my brand.
Okay, that's good.
That's who I am.
But the series.
Yeah, right. Perfect. Right. So some of the things that I think some Cardinals fans are optimistic about is, for a team that has not had a great history of winning seasons and making the playoffs, the team doesn't have the most winning history in the NFL. A team that made the playoffs has gotten better for the last 3 years, has a quarterback that is exciting. What I've often said is there are some quarterbacks out there. There are quarterbacks who can make the same throws Kyler can make, the impressive throws. And there's maybe one other quarterback who can run comparably, in terms of Lamar. But I don't think there's another quarterback in the NFL who has the same combination of ability to run and throw. Mm-hmm. Kyler's a better thrower than Lamar. And, Lamar's the only comparable runner, in my opinion. So now I'm not saying Kyler's the best quarterback, but Kyler can do things, a combination of things on some plays that no other quarterback can do. And that's a reason to be excited. Now, obviously, the consistency is another thing. He has some bad plays, but he's still, in every metric that matters, he was kind of a top 10, top 5 quarterback last year. So I think Kyler Murray still being a Cardinal, not having been traded despite what some of the drama maybe got people to think, and then it seems like he's, whatever drama was there, he's in the fold. He's at OTAs now. That Kyler's still our quarterback is, I think, reason to be optimistic. I do think, despite the fact that, DeAndre Hopkins is going to miss the first 6 games, this team does have a lot of offensive weapons.
Okay.
Especially when he gets back. You have DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Zach Ertz, right? And then AJ Green, who I know isn't what he used to be, but he's still a decent receiver. And, if he's like your number 4 option, and then Rondale Moore, James Conner's back. So I think, the offense, I think fans have a little more optimism about. The defense is where fans are a little less optimistic. Chandler Jones walked. Our cornerback situation is a concern. Obviously, the tragic death of Jeff Gladney, is something they couldn't have predicted. So they need another cornerback or two. Some fans are concerned that is the pass rush going to be good. I think it'll be better than fans think it will. Defensive line interior, like run stopping defensive line, is an area of concern. So they seem to have gone with a youth movement in terms of the defense. And I think there's a lot of fans aren't as optimistic, but the offense is, I think, where there's more optimism.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I think you've given Cardinals fans, enough to be excited about here. And I'll shout out Rams House. He's in the house. Good to see you. Rams House appeared on episode 1 of this series, which anyone who wants to go watch any of the previous episodes, I strongly encourage you. It's been a great series so far, and then we're going to continue it right now. So again, if you're watching with me live, put a W in the chat if you think the Cardinals are going to win, an L if you think they're going to lose, depending on the opponent. So first week 1, the Cardinals, they start off with a fun one. They start off at home, and they welcome in the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Joe, will the Cardinals win or lose this game?
So, the optimistic side says this reminds us of week 1 last year when the Cardinals were going up against Tennessee, a team that's, considered one of the better teams in the AFC. Not many people thought the Cardinals would win, and they blew them out. But Andy Reid's a good coach. Even though they've got some transition going on, I think that this is going to be a loss for the Cardinals. I think, I think Kansas City is gonna come out with the win. Okay.
Yeah. We have a couple of other L's agreeing with you there. And for those of you who remember, I'm notorious for losing track of things. So I misplaced my pen. Okay. All right. We're doing this pen list. That's cool. Okay. The Cardinals are starting off 0-1. Hopefully I don't lose track. 0-1. And then they travel on the road and they take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Win or lose?
I'm going to say a win here. I know, with Devontae Adams there, a lot of people, feel like the Raiders could be a team that's on the rise. But I like our chances there. I think they've got a decent quarterback, but I think with the change of system, I think that could be a little bit of a learning curve there for Carr. So I think the Cardinals are able to pull off a win against the Raiders.
Okay. So you're predicting the Cardinals start off 1-1. I do see Chaser Alec. He thinks the Cardinals start off 2-0. So he's optimistic. That's all right. We love that. Robert, good to see you as well. Always a pleasure.
Don't forget Lance there, another good dude who's a subscriber to my channel. He missed him up there.
Yeah.
Said hey there.
Yeah. Oh,
there we go.
Coming in hot. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
So week 3, you get to play. Oh, this is one of my favorite games on the Cardinals schedule.
Sure.
So the Cardinals are 1-1, and they welcome in the defending Super Bowl champions, the defending NFC West champions, led by Cardinal Slayer Sean McVay. The Los Angeles Rams are coming to Arizona. Win or lose this game?
I'm going to have this as a loss. DeAndre Hopkins is still suspended for this game. Okay. Obviously the Rams are the defending champions. They're the team that, everyone's gunning for, and they're a good team. So I think, being shorthanded in the receiving core, anything can happen. We all know this, but I'm gonna go with a loss here.
Okay. So the Cardinals start off 1-2, and then I've heard through the grapevine, and your fellow Cardinals YouTuber, Arizona Cardinals fan, alerted me that the Cards struggle against the Panthers. Weirdly enough, can you speak to this at all?
For whatever reason, someone sold their soul in the Carolina Panthers fan base so that they could always no. So yeah, the Cardinals have struggled. 2 years ago, when the Cardinals were playing reasonably well, they lost to the Panthers. In a game that they were going in favor to win. And last year was a little different because it was during the 3-game stretch when Kyler Murray was injured. So Colt McCoy was the starting quarterback. So that one, it got ugly quick. Colt had multiple turnovers, but Colt McCoy is a backup quarterback. He went 2-1. Mm-hmm. He's a backup quarterback's going to be inconsistent. If he wasn't inconsistent, he wouldn't be a backup. So I think the last year's game, it was ugly, but with Kyler wasn't in there. So I think that was a little more fluky, but the last 2 years in a row with those losses, Cardinals fans have this kind of irrational fear of the Carolina Panthers, even though they're not a good team. So, though I'm going to tell you, I think we break that streak. I think it's a W this year.
That's what we want to do on MOOF, right? It's
right.
Break the curse. I love it. Okay. All right. So that's 2 wins. You're having the Cardinals starting off 2-2 after 4 games. And then you welcome in the Philadelphia Eagles to Arizona. Win or lose.
So Philadelphia is a team that could be on the rise, right? They seem to play reasonably well last year. They're a team that has some reason for optimism, but I'm bringing the optimism. So I'm leaning into the optimism, and I'm going to say that's a team the Cardinals should be able to beat.
Okay. So that puts the Cardinals above 500 in your prediction, 3-2 after 5 games. And then you got your second divisional game of the year. You're traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks without Russell Wilson. Win or lose?
Seattle's going to be bad. It's good, they're going to be bad. So I think this is a win. I know there's always the trap game thing, but that's not a good team. I think right now the quarterback situation, Drew Lock, Geno Smith. Are you afraid of either of those quarterbacks?
Nope.
So, listen, obviously anything can happen. The Cardinals lost to the Lions last year.
Yeah.
But that's a game I'm going to pick for W.
Okay. All right. So that's 4 wins. I do see in the chat Robert's saying and Chaser, they're thinking that Eagles game might be a trap game. But there are some wins versus the Eagles and some easy wins versus the Seahawks at that. So you're predicting the Cardinals right now are 4-2 after 6 weeks. And then you have a short week here for your first primetime game of the year. And correct me if I'm wrong, DeAndre Hopkins will be back for this game where they welcome in the New Orleans Saints to Arizona for this Thursday night primetime matchup.
Yes, that is when he is slated to return from his suspension, his 6-game suspension. So versus New Orleans, I'm going to have this as a win as well. They've got a new coach. Jameis Winston looks like he's the coach or the quarterback. He's he's been better recently, but without Sean Payton there, does he become the old Jameis Winston? So I like our chances there.
Okay, I see a couple of W's in the chat as well for that. So bringing you to 5-2, the Cardinals hype is starting to build. They're rising in the power rankings. I'm sure we'll hear the criticisms of Cliff Kingsbury starting strong, but who cares about you're 5-2. And then you take on a team that's really hard to figure out so far in this series. Whenever a team has to play them, it seems there's some head scratchers. You travel to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings.
So There's part of me that is really tempted to go with a loss here because last year the Cardinals won this because the Vikings missed a field goal and it was a reasonable field goal.
Right.
So it's one of those things where, like, you take the wins, I'm never one to say that we got robbed or we shouldn't have won or we shouldn't have, or they whatever, or they shouldn't have won. The game goes the way it games. You have to take the bad losses just like you take the lucky wins. But so there's part of me that thinks the universe wants to write that and we would lose. But I'm going to stay on the side of optimism and say a win.
Okay, I love it. Love it. There we go. Okay, so that brings you up to 6 wins, 2 losses after 8 weeks. And I see in the chat, Robert thinks it's a coin flip with the Vikings. We got Grandizer saying it'll be an L. And then we travel with the Cardinal. Nope, not travel. You're staying at home. You welcome in for the second time of the season, the Seattle Seahawks. Are you going to sweep the Seahawks?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like the only interesting question to me is, will we be facing 2 different quarterbacks? Like, will they switch quarterbacks, or don't want to wish injury, but do they start one of those 2 quarterbacks and then they pull them for the other one by the time they get to the second time we play them? But I think that's the game. That's a game I'm definitely picking for a win.
Okay, well that's 7 wins on the year, and then my next favorite game on the Cardinals schedule, where you get to travel to SoFi Stadium, the place of the Cardinals last playoff game where it was played. I won't mention what happened.
Yeah,
but and they travel. And you had the Cardinals losing to the Rams the first game of the year. Are the Rams going to sweep the Cardinals this year?
No, they're not. Come on. I mean, I got to be optimistic, right? So no, I'm going with optimism. I'm going to say we split the series, and you would think, okay, I should have picked them to win at home, but DeAndre Hopkins being out for me and we beat you all at home last season as well and lost. We beat you at your stadium and lost at home. So I'm going to kind of have a repeat in that regard this year.
Okay. All right. I disagree politely. I respect your opinion. No,
I respect all your opinions except for that one.
Yeah. So you have the Cardinals at 8-2 now.
Yeah.
And then you go into a Monday night football matchup with the San Francisco 49ers. Primetime, ESPN, win or lose?
I'm going to go with another win.
Okay.
We swept them last year, and listen, are they going to be better this year? Maybe. I mean, they went deep in the playoffs, to their credit, right? Yeah. But we managed to sweep them last year, so and we've had reasonable success against them in recent years. So I don't know if there's just a coaching advantage, a schematic matchup that works for the Cardinals. But I'm gonna keep it rolling.
Okay, well, it seems like we got some W's there, and people are tending to agree with you. And hello, tribe, I see you in the chat now. So okay, that's 9 wins and 2 losses, and then you are at home and you welcome in the Los Angeles Chargers. There's a lot of hype around them. I had a Chargers fan for episode 2, and his name was Bolt Dad. He was pretty excited about the Chargers this season.
I mean, they've got a great young quarterback. They've got some exciting players. They have reasons to be optimistic. And if you're a Cardinals fan, the big concern, the big fear with the Cardinals, and the thing that's been going on is that they struggle second half of the season. And there's a stat that every Cardinals fan I think knows, that Cliff Kingsbury, going back to his Texas Tech days, has had a losing record in the second half and playoffs of his seasons, including bowl games. So I think there's a lot of Cardinals fans who probably look at this and say, this is where it starts to unravel. Right. This is if they're going to do the same thing that they've done in the past, where the second half of the season they start to fall apart. This is where it begins, and I do have an L here.
Okay, so you're taking the L, but the Cardinals are still 9-3.
Yeah.
That's still a good record. And I do shout out CarCast. Good to see you, my friend, as well. We got great chat tonight, Joe. Great chat.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And I love it because we're at the bye week, and anyone who's watched this series before knows that whenever we get to the bye week for a team, it's time for
Bye Week Hot Takes. The hottest takes on the bye week.
Yes, bye week hot takes coming in hot. This is where we scour the internet, Twitter, Reddit, random Facebook groups. We find hot takes about the Arizona Cardinals or whatever team that we are observing that day. And we're just taking a little break from the schedule. I got 3 hot takes here for you. And Joe, I want to see your reaction to them. For those viewing, Joe has no clue what these hot takes are. He's going to be reacting to them raw. And I would love for you in the chat to react to them as well. And if you're watching on the replay, feel free to comment below what you think of these hot takes. So first one coming in hot, pretty optimistic this one. Kyler Murray will have the greatest season by a Cardinals quarterback in their history this season with over 5,000 yards passing. What do you think of this hot take, Joe?
So the thing is, Kyler, even when he's really playing well, is not a major passing yards kind of a quarterback. He runs some. The offense uses the run more than people think. They're efficient. They get the ball moving. But even like when he was having, an MVP caliber start to the season last year, I don't know that he was, putting up. I mean, he had decent yard numbers, but I don't see a 5,000 yard season ever in his career. Okay. But that doesn't mean anything can happen. But I think his best season is probably going to be in the 4,000s. With potentially a lot of touchdowns, but just the way that he plays the game, he's just one of those guys that doesn't do tons of yards, but still can be very efficient. Could he? I don't think could he in his career have the best Cardinals quarterback passing season ever? That could happen, but I don't think it would be over 5,000 yards.
Okay. So you would say this hot take's pretty hot.
I'd say it's pretty spicy right there. That's like habanero hot.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you thought that was spicy, just check out what I got coming in next.
Okay.
The Cardinals' offseason drama will cause an in-season implosion. They will start 0-4 and compete with the Seahawks for last in the division.
That's just not nice. Okay. I do not think the drama I think the drama is in the media and with the fans. I think the whole Kyler thing was, I think people made it out to be more than it was. I think it was just posturing for contract negotiation. I don't think there's bad blood. I don't think Kyler doesn't like the management, and I don't think they don't like, I just don't think there's actual drama in the building. I just think what's going on is Kyler's trying to get his contract, wanted to get to the table early with the negotiations. The team didn't want to. His agent made some noise, but I don't think there's legit bad blood. So no, I don't think they're going to have a drama-based implosion. If they start out 0-4, it's going to be because the best receiver is suspended. And because, but it's not going to be because of drama.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah. And then my final hot take for the bye week hot take segment is actually, it's funny you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins' 6-game suspension is a blessing in disguise for the Cardinals and will help fuel a late season surge in the Cards offense.
I think I'm not going to say I'm completely on board, but this is the most realistic of the 3 hot takes, because here's what it potentially does. One, it helps maybe increase the likelihood that he's healthy in the late season, because I know everyone is trying to figure out why do the Cardinals collapse. And I know someone in the chat asked that question earlier, And there's a lot of different arguments for why that happened. But if you're an optimist, the one you're hoping is true is simply because they got unlucky with injuries last year, which they did. They had some J.J. Watt, DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore was banged up. Robert Alford, who was our best cornerback, was out. So if it really was because of injuries, the fact that Hopkins is missing those games, and that he has more time to recover, less chance of getting banged up, and you add to that, it gives more time for guys like Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore, some of the other receivers to kind of get up to speed and kind of get things going and get some reps that will be valuable later. So this is, to me, of the hot takes, the one that is the most realistic.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun, and this has been
Bye Week Hot Takes. The hottest takes on the bye week.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I think that's a good segment.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of my favorite segments here. Just a couple of reactions to bye week hot takes. Lance is saying we will see the implosion in person on Hard Knocks live.
Right, mid-season.
Yeah. Are Cardinals fans excited about having the in-season Hard Knocks? Or?
I think more so yes than no. I think there's some fans who feel like it's gonna, be. I think what I see is, if anything, some cynicisms like, well, we'll get to see why they collapse, But I think fans are excited to get. Fans want more access, right? Anything that gives us access. I think we're excited for.
Okay, cool. Well, we do have to get back to the schedule here. So that was bye week hot takes. So tune in next episode for more bye week hot takes on a different team. But before the bye week, you had the Cardinals going 9-3, just coming off of a loss, and then they play Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots, and this is in Arizona. Win or lose.
So, even though the Cardinals are coming off a bye and, you like that, right? Having that extra time to prep and everything, you're going against Bill Belichick, and it's his Mac Jones in his second year in the system, had a nice rookie season. Belichick just, there's not a better coach in terms of, prep and scheming. So I do worry about that one. And then you add to that the whole, well, is this the part of the season where things start to slide? And I'm going with a loss here.
Okay. So that's 2 losses in a row. Then you're 9-4 on the year. And then you're traveling to Denver in Mile High Stadium to take on the Russell Wilson-led Broncos. Win or lose?
So, playing in Mile High is tough, right? In terms of the altitude, and, that's an interesting team with Russell Wilson there. And they've got some nice, receivers there. They've got some nice players in Denver, but I'm still going to go with it being a Cardinals win.
Okay. You think they match up well with the Broncos?
I hope so. And I think, it's a new coach. Wilson's a great quarterback, but there's some, he doesn't run like he used to. He's good throwing the ball, but I don't know. Are we going to start to see decline with him? Is there going to be some growing pains with the new team, the new scheme? So I don't know that I have a strong reason for this, but I just have being optimistic here. Okay,
hey, that's what it's about. It's MOOF, right? The most overly optimistic fan. Love it. Okay, so that brings you to 10 wins on the year. Congratulations, double-digit wins. And after 15 weeks, you're predicting 10-4 on the year. And then your final home game of the year is in Week 16, where you welcome in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Win or lose?
So I'm going with the loss here. You got Tom Brady. They've got a really good team, good defense, good offense. And, again, the Cardinals haven't shown that they can, that they can play well late in the season. I'm hopeful that it really is just a matter of, more of a depth issue, and which they've addressed this offseason. But with a team that historically does not play well late in the season, I just have a hard time picking a W against what I think is going to be one of the best teams in the NFL this year.
Okay. So that's 10-5 after week 16, and I do see that Grandizer, he thinks that they're going to.
Hey, I love it.
Yeah, no, that's all right. And then let's see. Then final game, second last game of the year. You're traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Falcons might be in for a rough year. What do you think? Can the Cardinals beat the Falcons late in the year?
So let me start by saying I'm tentatively planning to go to this game. It's I live 2.5 hours from Atlanta.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so hopefully I will be there to watch this one, and I do pick a win here. Atlanta. Arthur Smith, their coach, has done a nice job. I think they have some reasons to be optimistic for the future with some of the pieces they've added, but they're a couple years away. I think they're still gonna struggle. So I definitely have a W there.
Okay. So that's 11 wins here. And then the final game of the year, you travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Win or lose?
So, as much as I want to say sweep, the just this part of me that says, the Cardinals got to show me they can win late down the season, I went with the loss here.
Okay.
So I think, obviously, listen, they swept the 49ers last year. I think they're capable. I wanted to pick the win here, but they've got to show that they can win down the stretch before I'm going to go. It was like, remember last year, I think we may have even done a live stream where I talked about, I wasn't going to pick the Cardinals to beat the Rams until they showed me they did it at least once against McVay. Now that they have, I feel like I can pick them to. It's a little bit like that late down the season that I'm going to have a hard time picking to beat good teams like that until they show me. I wonder, hey, real quick, Lance has asked if I'm making the Carolina game. I'm tentatively planning to go to that one too. It's not for sure, but I'm hoping to go to both those games. They're both kind of within driving distance. So
that's awesome.
Lance, I'll definitely let you know for sure when I know for sure, but tentatively, cross my fingers. There's a few things I got to work out still, but.
That's awesome. Well, Joe, so the final prediction for you is 11-6. And with that record, I think, you have a chance of making the playoffs again. And then who knows what happens in the playoffs. Great question here from Jake. Just would love to know your thoughts. Does Murray sign a contract? If yes, how much?
Thanks for asking, Jake. In fact, I did a video on this on my channel, so where I actually talk about what I think but I'll answer your question. But I did a whole video where I kind of show where I came up with the number. I do think he signs a contract extension. I think it gets done this summer before the season. The things we've heard from the management is that they've said that they want to extend him. These things usually get done over the summer. I think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be, I'm predicting 5 years, $235 million, which is an average of $47 million per year.
Okay.
So I don't know how much of that will be guaranteed, but that's where I'm predicting. So.
Okay. Robert's saying a 5-year, $240 million. Okay.
Anything between 45 and 50 million a year isn't going to surprise me.
That's fair. And I gotta give Grandizer this general pleasantry just because he loves it. And he says, "Whose house?" It's the Rams' house. It. But Joe, that was awesome. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming on and being the Cardinals fan representation for the MOOF series. Where can people find you?
So check me out. My YouTube channel, The Cardinal Rule, is the best place to find me. I post content. I do a live stream every week, and then I do shorter videos, pre-recorded videos, edited videos periodically. So the Cardinal Rule is the best place. I've got my Twitter handle. I'm always right there. I never get that coordination right there. My Twitter handles, you can follow me there at Jokomo13. Yeah, if you're a Cardinals fan, definitely check me out. If you're just a general football fan who wants to know a little bit about the Cardinals, check me out as well. I think you'll enjoy what I do.
For sure, absolutely. Friendly reminder, as it says right above Joe's head, charity live stream coming up September 8th, where we are going to be raising money to fight food insecurity, and we're stoked to do that. This has been episode 4 of MOOF, and tune in next time and find out what team that we're going to break down next. As always, go Rams, and Joe, you can
go
say
Cardinals.
Have a great night, everybody. See you in the next live stream.